Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is an abbreviated midday market report with Andrew McInnis on Wednesday, February 24th, 2024. I say abbreviated because me and Andrew met at 3:05 and we were scheduled to do a show, but we do what we do best, and we talk for 45 minutes about life. And life does happen here, but our talks are priceless. And it's kind of sort of what keeps us going. So I'm blessed and honored to have him a part of our show and our network at least once a week, and we reciprocate with him in WagerTalk as well. So first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership, WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play. It's free. Scroll to the bottom, download the sports books that are available in your 37, 38 states, like Massachusetts, where I am right now. Take advantage of the match play, the promos, the props, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's going to be a tool for you moving forward to help you guide you into properly investing or wagering on the game, and turn it into investing, turn it into profit and not entertainment like most people do in these lanes. So there's a lot of hockey going on. Big game in Toronto tonight for the locals. So without further ado, the star of this show, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm excited. Every night's been really fun to watch, Jeff. And it's during the regular season when there's those good games you look forward to watching. That's how it feels every night right now, which is super exciting.
NHL hockey, and like the NBA, home teams hold and serve over the weekend. I think the home teams were 11 or 12-0. Last night, we've had whether it was the Dallas Mavericks break and serve in the NBA. In hockey, a stellar, probably one of the best games I've seen. Tampa and Florida goes to OT, but looking for road teams to break the ice. We saw it 2 nights ago with the Vegas Knights in Dallas. There, Toronto finds a way to dig deep and beat the Bruins in the Garden. Thoughts on what you've seen so far in the NHL playoffs?
What have I seen so far? I mean, home ice advantage is home ice advantage. We came into this year wondering our away team is going to be more profitable. And of course, obviously, as you stated there, looking at some of the road teams like Nashville, like Colorado, tying things up, and of course, Toronto as well. But the last change to me is something that I always look at in the playoffs as a more important factor. And of course, you get that when you're at home. But I'm seeing a lot of scoring, and whether games have gone under or whether they've ended up going over, I haven't seen quite yet many teams just sit back when they get a lead. Like the Nashville Predators are probably the perfect example of a team that would do that. But even so, they continued to play. They continued to push forwards. And I know it's not a major adjustment here, Jeff, but take a look at the Maple Leafs series. The first game just barely went over the total. Second game goes under, and we see a 5.5 get pushed to a 6 as the total for today. We saw 5.5 in game 1 for the Jets Avalanche series. That goes over in the first period, 3-3. Thanks for playing. And we see a 6.5 in game 2. So it's interesting to me to see here in the NHL with how fast paced things are, the scoring is there. And how about the NBA? I mean, this is a hockey show here to give out some hockey picks, but 15-5, I believe that's the record for every playoff game under. If you're just riding these playoff unders, and that just goes to show how much more these guys are trying defensively, how long the possessions have been offensively compared to the regular season. But as far as the NHL is concerned, I've been a little bit surprised by how many goals I'm still seeing in the playoffs.
You know, I talked to you about Nashville. I thought they were going to be sneaky against Vancouver. 2-1 lead going into the third period, and they kind of pooped their pants. Vancouver stood proud in the third period, takes care of business there. An injury to Demko, Nashville returns the favor. The Avs in kind of a must-win situation, take care advantage there. I talked about Toronto. You go back to the Canes Islanders back in the day, Mike Bossy, Trottier, Billy Smith, when they dethroned the Edmonton Oilers with Gretzky. 82-0 lifetime in the playoffs with a 3-goal. And they got a 3-0 lead. Next thing you know, it's 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3. Thanks for playing. It's NHL. It's the first round. Tampa being Tampa, Andrew. Vasilevsky standing on his head. Big Bob says, "Hold my beer." I mean, that save with his arm on the, I just goes to overtime. You know what happens in overtime. So my point is, expect the unexpected, correct?
Expect the unexpected. That's for sure. And one thing I'll say as well, Jeff, to get into, to mention the player props, and I'm kind of self-reflecting right now, and it's important to do that. We don't want to come on here and complain, but this might be the best time to be betting goal scoring props. Like point props, the shot props haven't gone well for me so far. Last night I got a plus price one, but the shots on goal overall have been good. The points I think I've had a better read on, but you look at it, look who's been scoring for the Florida Panthers, right? You had Reinhart score a goal. You've had Verhaeghe score a couple. You've had the top guys score. Look who scored for the Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews gets the go-ahead goal. David Pastrnak scores for the Boston Bruins. Cale Makar for the Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon, Jason Robertson for the Dallas Stars. What do all these guys have in common? Well, they're the better players on the team. And so what I'm realizing is the bottom six guys are kind of just battling it out, and if they're lucky, they'll get a goal out of those guys. And that's a win for the team. If you can get a goal out of your bottom pairings, it's amazing. But the top guys are being the top guys. So that's kind of where the chalk is right now. And the cool part is, unless you're Matthews, unless you're maybe McKinnon and some of these guys, for the most part, you're plus money. Like if you take Tyler Bertuzzi and Mitch Marner, both of them tonight to score a goal, and one of them scores, you make money. If you take both of them to get a point and only one of them gets one, you lose money. So it's kind of interesting to look at, because what's harder to do? It's harder to score a goal, right? And so I've always looked at it like this, and you know me, and and I have confidence in myself with my props, and I tell you, I go on shows all the time and give out props, and they win, and I give out 4 or 5 to the clients, and I hit 1 or 2, and it's frustrating. But I think that it's for certain players, as you and I always talk about with the team totals and things like that, it's about limiting your risk. So if you give out a handful of guys at plus 150 or higher, the percentage you have to hit becomes a lot lower. And so I've really noticed for anybody out there that doesn't dabble too much into the prop betting market, there actually might not be a better time than right now to start betting goal scorers. Versus in the regular season, game 63, Jeff, you could take Austin Matthews. He might have the worst game of his career.
And watching Edmonton, we did have them in game 1, their team total over 3.5. They scored a touchdown, extra point. But, Lord McDavid, 5 assists. And God, listen, we both talked about the Kings at length all season long. But I don't think they got the memo is you can't be in the penalty box and expect to compete with this Edmonton. Their power play was insane. So I get what you're selling there, and I kind of think you're right. And it's like I always talk about this, Andrew. Let's take it to baseball. If you played 2 -150s and you went 1-1, well, you lost a half a unit. And so if you parlayed them together and you went 1-1, well, you still lost a unit. Why do we try to turn a favorite into plus money? And I'm going to take it to that next level tonight, where there's only one possible way I could do a team total tonight, and that's a Dallas Star team that saw the real Vegas team show up. And I talked about Mark Stone on every show before they dropped the first puck. And who shows up but Mark Stone? 1-0 Vegas. Thanks for playing. Dallas was playing catch up the whole game. So my point is, how am I going to bet Dallas tonight? The only way I can get plus money is to take them to get to 4. If they win 3-2, shame on me. But I'm not laying the juice in case Vegas does win the game. So I'm saying to the world right now, I'm going to take Dallas tonight plus 110 to get to 4 or better. And that's the only way I can see myself getting into the hockey tonight.
So I love it. I smiled right when you said that. I was like, what a start for you and I being on the same page. And I was speaking with someone earlier and they said, well, Andrew, let me read to you the history between these teams. And I didn't like it. And we got 4-3 Golden Knights, 6-1 Golden Knights, 2-1 Golden Knights, 3-2 Golden Knights, 6-0 Golden Knights, 4-2 Stars, 3-2 Stars. It's tough because a lot of the wins here for this Stars team over the Knights the past few years, they haven't actually reached the 4-goal mark, which is frustrating because we're looking at that thinking, man, that might be the only way this team can win. But I think that they played a good game last game. They didn't win. They lost, but I think they could have had 3 or 4 or 5 goals. And, this is a team that if they get Hintz playing well, if they get Robertson playing well, if they get their defenseman jumping into the rush, you can get plus 110 some shops, like you were saying. I mean, plus money, that's the way to go. And if you went the regulation route and they lost 5-4, you'd want to pull your hair out. If they win 3-2 tonight, you and I are going to want to pull our hair out. But I would rather focus on one team than to let the Vegas Golden Knights spoil my party. And I know you're a fan of the plus money, so I want your thoughts on this. And I don't mind if you disagree with me. The other night I had a big play on the Leafs team total, right? So that was a minus. I took a plus on an underdog into a minus, the opposite of what you and I usually do, right? And of course, what happens? They win and score the magic number. So it's kind of funny how it worked out. But if they lost 4-3, I would have felt good. They lost 5-4. They won the game, so be it. What were your thoughts about my mindset when you saw that? I mean, did you think, hey, why not just take them to win the game? Because for me tonight, I think for the Dallas Stars, they might have to score 4 goals to win the game. Despite what all that stuff said from StatMuse, all the past history, I still believe that it's going to, I think if this series goes to 7, at least 5 games go over the total. And you need to score 4 goals to win the game.
It was a disaster from Jump Street because it was almost like I talk about when you go to play at Vegas in the Fortress. What usually happens after the introduction, the place is electric. You're on top of the ice, and you went to get a beer, and you came back, and it's 1 or 2-0 Vegas in the first 4 or 5 minutes. Well, it happened in game 1. Here comes the $91 million Vegas Knights, the Tampa of a few years ago. And who scores the first goal? Of course, it's Mark Stone. So you're playing catch up. Dallas down 2 goals most of the game. They cut it to 1, had a goal taken off the board. They're going to have to set the tone. So would I be shocked if Dallas won 3-2 tonight? I wouldn't, because in their minds, hey, maybe we got to slow this down because there's a lot more pressure on Dallas tonight than there is Vegas. Vegas is going to come in loosey-goosey. They're playing with house money because they know if they take a 2-0 lead, most likely at worst they're going to split at the Fortress over the weekend. Mm-hmm. So more pressure on the Stars But again, I'm not going to lay the juice because I think Vegas can win the game. I'll take my shot that Dallas, if they lost 5-4, would we be happy? Yeah, we would. But holding Dallas to win the Western Conference, holding Dallas to win the Cup, I got to take a stance here, and I'm going to take the plus money just in case they do lose this game. And I'm going to take the plus 110, and say, hey, you know what? If they get to 4, they might lose 5-4 or 6-4. But I think offensively and defensively, you're going to see a sharper Stars team.
Me too. And I had the same guy, Brian, that I was talking to earlier about this matchup, and he was telling me the recent history. And he had an idea saying, well, if you like that, why not look at the Vegas team total under 2.5? And I said, well, I get it, but that brings in the team that I don't want to worry about. Like Vegas is a team that I don't even want to deal with them right now. I've got problems with them. I don't like them. They surprise me all the time. They got new players in their roster. It's a good idea. It's only minus 115 under 2.5, but I really do like the plus 110. And let's be honest, you don't want to handicap this way, but if it's 3-2 Dallas with 2 minutes to go in the playoffs, you're pulling your goalie. You know, that option is out there. But it is important to get that plus money. I think that's the way to go. I think Dallas does respond. And I'll tell you right now, there's 2 guys that I want my money on for player props. Current price, Joe Pavelski, minus 130 to get a point. And then you look at the actual goal scoring props here. Wyatt Johnston, plus 185. That's the guy I got circled for tonight. Robertson scored last game. Wyatt Johnston, plus 185. You got Rupe Hintz, who's 205. Pavelski's 225. Jamie Benn's 230. Sagan's plus 250. Robertson's plus 265. And Wyatt Johnson's plus 185. I think that's the best number tonight. Jack Eichel is 160. I think that number is way too low because there's a lot of guys on the nights that can score. But Wyatt Johnson, plus 185. Pavelski, minus 130 to record a point. Because one thing about Pavelski, and I know I talked about how maybe it's a better idea to bet these goal scoring props to plus money. It wouldn't shock me if he scored a goal tonight. Wouldn't shock me if he got an assist or 2 tonight. So I'm more comfortable with Pavelski just to be the points guy.
And I'll just throw pizza and beer on Jamie Benn. How's that?
I like it.
Go with the Benster there. Obviously, deeply invested in the Leafs. I did some research, talked to Jeffrey Benson, checked out their 8 exactas. The shortest exacta was Toronto in 6 plus 425. Then was the Bruins in 7. Then was Toronto in 7 and at plus 525. Series tied 1-1. Circa puts up a pick'em still in the series. And you look at tonight's game. Right now, it's a pick'em. In Toronto right now, it's circa minus 110, and the Bruins plus 100. 6 juiced under, minus 20 cents. Again, first 1-3 wins this game. Kind of comical. Austin Matthews not at the morning skate, but Nylander was at the morning skate. The thought process is Swayman back in net, of course, tonight. That's for a whole nother story. This is usually when Toronto lays the egg, the big bad Bruins come back after a loss, and you would think Toronto would feed off of the crowd and the energy. It's a total coin flip. I'm going to sit and watch because of my exactas, because we got Toronto in the series. What's your gut telling you in this game tonight?
My gut tells me we're going to see one hell of an effort from the Bruins. They might not be the same big, bad Bruins they once were. And I think we can agree that the Leafs might have been the tougher team so far this series. More body checks, more tougher plays. But the road team, right? That's the thing. They don't get the matchups they want now. Going out there, how will the Bruins respond on the road? Brad Marchand, he loves being the villain. You know he loves wearing the C and playing for the Bruins at the Garden. But what he loves even more, it seems like, is being the villain. Going into other, just like how Max Domi was trying to stir things up at TD Garden. I think we're going to see the DeBrusques of the world, the Marchands of the world being physical out there. I think this game gets off to a fast start. We saw 3 goals in the opening frame in game 2 at the Garden. I think we see over 1.5 minus 120 cash in tonight once again. You notice we're seeing the 6 as the total, Jeff. But last game was a 5.5, same price on the 1.5. I feel like that might mean something to you as a numbers guy. hey, what's going on here? Why are we seeing this number? It's a little bit peculiar to me. I think the game starts with a bang. I think we see, maybe the Leafs score first and the Bruins respond, and we either have 1-1 or 2-1 after the first period, and then things settle down. Look at the last game. It was 2-1 after the first period. What was the final score? 3-2. Right? I mean, the opening, very, very different than what you're seeing in the regular season. The regular season has the first period being the lower scoring period. The second period is where things open up. I'm seeing a huge role reversal right now where the first period is a little bit tight. Someone scores. The other team wants to respond. And then all of a sudden, the second period, you try and close the gap and look at it. And I brought this up earlier on the show I was doing, and I got to find the current price here because we've talked about these in the show before, and it hasn't worked out well in all of them, but I'm going to mention it either way. Both teams to score first periods plus 170. Obviously, the last game was 2-1 after the first. I think if the over 1.5 goals in the first period hits in this game, both teams score plus 170. So a little sprinkle on that. And as far as player point props are concerned, I mentioned DeBrusk. I think he's someone that's worthy of mentioning because he plays the right way. He's a physical guy, knows how to score the rough goals. He's not overly rough. He just is willing to score those goals the right way. And then I honestly believe everyone's giving this guy crap, including me. There was an article in the newspaper in Toronto, the local home team crapping all over this player. I think Mitch Marner gets his first goal of the playoffs tonight, plus 185, because he gets the matchup of his choice. They get to send him out there when they want to. So those are some bets that I'm liking tonight. I can't tell you who's going to win, but I'll tell you, I think the scoring continues. We saw 1-3-2 game. We saw 1-5-1 game. This, to me, could be a 5-4, 5-3 type game. I can't see it slowing down. You and I both know that even though 5-1 was the score in favor of the Bruins, I would say that the faster pace, the higher the scoring, probably benefits the Leafs. Would you agree?
No, I definitely would agree. And I think this first period is going to set up the next two games, meaning if the Bruins come in, they're first to the puck, they're the aggressor, they're banging the bodies around, they win the first period, that crowd gets quiet, especially if the Bruins get out and score early like Vegas did. That crowd's going to be, here we go again. The Leafs got to get out early, they got to get the first goal, they got to set the tone, because call me crazy here, everyone sees this as a 6 or 7 game series. I think we'll be talking next week at this time, probably game 6 or 7 at Toronto or at the Garden. But there's a part of me that says Toronto can win both these games. Do they have to play the perfect game? Maybe they might have to win a 2-1, 3-2 game. Okay. But they also can win a 6-5 game. And who's got the most pressure? Here's what I'm going to say is this. Montgomery made it clear. Last year, we had 2 goalies that won us a Presidential Cup, and how'd that do? We didn't alternate the goalies until it was too late. Big Bob comes in and he saves the day. The rest is history there. Montgomery made it a point. The last 28 games of the Bruins, Andrew, they had flip-flopped the goalie. So Swayman played well in game 1, but he wasn't the real reason why they won game 1. The Bruins just were the better team. Ullmark didn't lose them game 2. Mm-hmm. Toronto was the better team. So the point going back to Swayman here, if the Bruins win, Montgomery's in the toughest spot of his career because, hey, I went to Ullmark in game 2. I'm supposed to go to Ullmark in game 4. And I can tell you this right now, and I know nothing. If the Bruins win tonight, there's no way in holy hell Ullmark's starting game 4.
And if they don't win the series after that, are they looking for a new coach? Because I think they like Montgomery. That's going to be a real tough, because that just means you're playing with fire. If I'm Ullmark, I'm walking into the office and saying, Coach, he just won 2 games this series. What are you doing here? But I get what you're saying. And for the record, I'm with you about the Leafs still looking good in game 1, but you know how I always bring up expected goals? I've never seen a disparity in expected goals, let alone playoffs in a game, and it looks so much different. The expected goal numbers were like 6.8, which I didn't see all regular season. 6.8 to like 3.1 or something like that in game one, and they lost 5-1. So a game that, the Maple Leafs 5-1, right? And then game two, they were like 4-3 or 3-2, something like that. So they go ahead and win 3-2. It was somewhat accurate. But like you mentioned, the goalies didn't really have the effect as much on the game. Sure, Allmark made some great saves last game. Samsonov did too. But the players scored 2 goals, right? And that's what you're saying. The Maple Leafs in game one, how many goals did they score? 1. So realistically, the Bruins lost because they scored 2 goals. They didn't lose because Allmark allowed 3. They probably should have scored 4, the Maple Leafs, right? 4 or 5. Yeah. So I'm with you on that. And that's why I'm continuing to look at these overs, because I really don't think it changes. If there's one series we can maybe be considering jumping in on the under train, probably is Vancouver and Nashville. And I know it might sound crazy because Demp goes out, but you and I both know the Preds, if they get a lead, they're going old school Devils style and they're protecting the lead, right? So they don't care if they win by 5 goals or they win by 1 goal. That's how I guarantee you, when we're going through the series and we're talking about round 2 together, we're going to be scrolling through and taking a look at the Predators and Canucks series. Every game Nashville wins, Vancouver scores fewer than 3 goals. Every game that Canucks win, they score more than 3 goals. Canucks aren't winning one game that they only score 3 goals. Nashville can do that.
Now, I agree 100% there. The last game, okay, listen, you will not see a 7-5, 7-6 game tonight. You can guarantee that. In Elio, if you're listening, watching, and waiting for the last game and taking the over 6 here, God bless you. Hail Mary, full of grace. The fact of the matter here is, again, it was the perfect storm for Edmonton. The Kings got their sea legs. They got the first game out of the way. Overnight number, Edmonton minus 185. Now at the Circa, it's 180. It is 190 at the Superbook. It is 192 at DraftKings. My point here is this, Andrew. Is Edmonton going to win tonight? Probably, most likely. Okay. It's a flat 6. Okay. I would run to the window and bet if one of the 2 games, Boston and Toronto or Edmonton and LA, and we had Biff's Almanac or tomorrow's scoreboard, I'm going to say Toronto-Boston went over 6 before Edmonton-LA. Now, again, I expect a tighter defensive effort from LA. Maybe they get out early. Maybe they stay out of the penalty box. Am I endorsing the Kings, running to the window to play the Kings tonight? No, I'm not. But I am going to say this. I think you got a better chance at a 4-1, 4-2, 3-2 game there than you did what happened in game 1.
I couldn't agree with you more. And the problem is, though, for the Kings, is that what happened. The reason why, let's put it this way: we haven't talked about live betting in a lot. If we see the Oilers go up 2-0 in the first period, we should live bet the full game over, because the LA Kings can't protect they can't protect the lead if they don't have it. Right? If they're down 2-0, they can't play the style of hockey they want to play. Every plan and scheme goes out the window if you have to now push the tempo, push the pace, get up the ice faster, stop sitting back for as long as they possibly can. They want to go under. That's for sure. As long as they possibly can, they want a defensive battle. If they get a 1-0 lead, we're going to see the most boring hockey game possible. But if the Edmonton Oilers come out on top, they kind of abandon their game plan, right?
No, I agree 100%. And again, it's one of these, if I didn't get invited to the wedding, don't expect me to go to the funeral. In other words, I was a part of Edmonton team total over 3.5. They got there. I'm not taking the banana in the tailpipe tonight, meaning I got the 1 win, game 1. Thank you so much, McDavid. Thank you. the rest of the team. I'm just not running to the window. It's like the FOMO. Shit, I didn't have him in game one. I better get him in game two. I'm expecting the exact opposite. I'm expecting a lot tighter check-in, a sense of urgency from the Kings. Can we steal one? Can we get out early? Can we win the first period 1-0 without any penalties? Like you said, Edmonton gets out 2-0. The game plan's over with.
And then you have to look at shot props. Adrian Kempe, Kevin Fiala. I mean, everyone talks about props for the Oilers, and why not? Over 1.5 points for McDavid. Well, geez, I mean, you could build a house on that in the playoffs right now with that prop bet. But who's going to shoot for the Kings? And the irony is this. I know this might sound funny. If you like the Oilers, you bet Kings props to the over. If you like the Kings to win, you almost want to bet their props under, because they're not going to be as aggressive to shoot the puck. They're going to dump it in, kill time. Most of the guys that hit their shot prop for the Kings, Jeff, I'm not joking, all happened in the third period. It all happened. Like, these guys were like, holy crap, we actually have to play hockey now. Like, we need to try and come back. And they scored a handful of goals. But for as long as they can, they're not going to be out there and trying to push the pace. So it's going to be super interesting. I will tell you, one prop I do like is actually the Stuart Skinner save prop to the over, because I do think that whether he makes the saves or not, he's going to get a lot of shots on him from the LA Kings. So whether or not they win or not, he's going to have to face a lot more noise.
The scroll has been going the whole time. Obviously, can find you on Twitter at McInnis Picks. All you work at WagerTalk Sports Mayflower. Jump on over to YouTube to Mayflower Sports. Subscribe. It's free. While you're there, jump on over to East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free there as well. Turn on the notifications on both sites. Why? So you never miss a show amongst us. Andrew, as we always close up here, what do you have to offer at WagerTalk for tonight, the rest of the week? It's the last week in April, May 1st, a week from today. What do you got?
I'll promote tomorrow, Jeff. Tomorrow is Customer Appreciation Day over at WagerTalk. It's $5 for our favorite plays. Everybody over there is going to have one play singled out for just $5. Regular price is $25 on those, so just $5 tomorrow. And currently, right now, you can still get the deal. 4 days for the price of 3. So you buy a 3-day pass, we'll throw in an extra day. That's all sports for free. But coming off that big winner and the Leafs a couple days ago, small plays, the props, we got to get those going. They've been pretty rough, but we're going to try and pick it up. Looking like it might be a bigger play tomorrow in the NHL as well. So keep an eye out for that. And again, best bet tomorrow, just $5. But thanks for having me as always, Jeff. I always enjoy our talks before the show, but I certainly like chopping it up during the show as well.
And on Friday, I will be on Andrew's channel. We're not sure what time, either early afternoon or later in the afternoon, but it'll be on our timeline. So thank you everyone that watched and witnessed this show. In 29 minutes, myself and Brady Kannon will be here for Tea Time Wagers. We'll be talking the Zurich Classic, the team event there. No Scotty Scheffler, thank God, I guess. So the PGA is happy there. Hopefully they have their child real soon. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Andrew McInnis and McInnis Picks. Wish everyone a blessed afternoon. Cash some hockey tickets, and we'll be back in a half hour talking golf.